Hello everyone, happy day, welcome back. Dr. Amy, founder of the Free Range Mama Project here. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are a first timer, please subscribe, come along with me on this journey. And also please hit the notification bell so you get notified when we have new videos, which drop twice a week. So again, if you're just meeting me for the first time, I am super, super passionate about what I get to do, and my hope and really my fire comes from wanting to give power back to the mamas to raise their babies and to raise healthy families. So I am truly on a mission to walk women through this phenomenal journey of motherhood, which is a little bit wild sometimes, but really taking women through the journey of conception all the way through pregnancy and postpartum and breastfeeding, if that's what you choose to do, and then raising these amazing healthy kiddos so that we can change the health of this country, we can change the health of generations going forward. So that's where my heart is, that's where my passion is, and I'm glad you're here. So today's video is going to be on baby-led weaning, and we're going to talk about specific milestones. We're going to talk about 4 milestones that have to do with baby-led weaning in regards to how babies are ready and prepared to take in food. If you haven't yet watched my video on babies' first foods and beyond, go watch that. That is an awesome one. It really talks about what to do as that first food. So we are going to talk about 4 different milestones. The first one is 7 to 9 months, that range of 7 to 9 months. And with that, that is the fist opening and closing, so 7 to 9 months. The second one is roughly 8 to 10 months, and that is just using their fingers more, realizing that there's these little things that move and attach to their hands. So that's 8 to 10 months. And then the third milestone we're going to talk about is a distinguished or more of a defined pincher grasp, and that is roughly 9 to 12 months. And then the final one we're going to talk about is using silverware. This is me and my spoon. My fork is as my son likes to do it. And that one is 11 to 14 months. So let's dive in. We're going to start with 7 to 9 months, and we're going to start with fist opening and closing. So 3 things that I want to talk about here specifically. I would recommend doing soft, smaller foods. With that being said, I like doing a mixture of fruit and veggies. We didn't do a ton of the over sugar fruits, and I shouldn't say a ton. We didn't do any of the pineapples or the mangoes. We did strawberries, we did blueberries, we did some watermelon, and then we'd also do chunks of cooked veggies. So green beans, sweet potatoes, squash, carrots, cauliflower, broccoli, and we did some banana too. So we would do it, if you were to take a banana, I would cut it in fourths. And then sometimes, especially as they're just starting out, you can even cut it in eighths. You want them to be able to figure out how to do it. But you also want it to obviously not be too big that they choke. You'll see a lot of this too, where they take their hand and they're just let them do that, because the goal is really just to get the food in the hand and then in the mouth. The second thing that's really, really good is eggs, because eggs are soft and squishy. When they get in the mouth, they kind of dissipate, but they also give them some surface area to hold on to. In my past video, when I talk about babies' first foods, if you're concerned about any of the allergen foods, always talk to your doctor, but studies are actually showing that it's better to introduce those foods sooner as opposed to waiting longer. Gives the body a chance to assimilate and get used to foods. And again, our bodies are not meant to be sensitive to all these foods. So that's another conversation for another day. But specifically for 7 to 9 months, I would look at doing soft, smaller foods, like I mentioned, the veggies and the fruit, and then eggs is also a great one. We also did yogurt. I personally obviously fed that to my son with a spoon. But with the yogurt, we were very mindful with what we did with dairy. So we found a great cashew milk yogurt. Sometimes we would do a coconut milk yogurt, a kefir yogurt. But I would, if you're going to do a yogurt, look at different options as not just doing dairy. So let's talk about the second milestone, which is using their fingers more. And that's usually at 8 to 10 months. So with that, one of the things that we did, and to this day, my son still loves doing it, is we allowed him to dip things. So we would do a little bit of hummus, and we would give him, let's say, one of the soft carrots, and we allowed him to kind of figure out. We would dip it and show him hey bud, if you put this here, this is what happens, and then put it in his mouth, and allowed him, and he would be trying to figure out what to do with it, but it just allowed him to use and engage with his hands more and then try different foods. We are also all about trying as many foods as possible. They say that we as Americans eat the same 8 foods every single week, or every single day. I shouldn't say day, but it's what we typically do. And I'm like, no way, that's ridiculous. And then recently I went to the grocery store and I'm like, I totally buy the same thing every single week. So I'd encourage you for your child to expose their taste, expose their palate preference to try a bunch of different foods. And then it's okay if they make a funny face to let them try it again. I think studies have shown up to 6 times to re-show them foods that they may have made a face to before. So with that 8 to 10 month range, using the fingers more, we also did either like little pieces of shredded chicken. We'd put like a free range chicken breast in the crock pot. I would do it with some bone broth and then shred it and let him use that. He loved it, and we'd also let him dip it in like salsa or give him like little beans and let him dip those as well. We also did organic raisins. That's also a smaller thing that they can use. And usually at that 8 to 10 months, they're getting used to like, using their mouth and not like gagging and choking on everything they put in their mouth, just because they're trying to figure out how their tongue moves with the roof of their mouth and how they move the food back. The other thing that we did and still do and we love, we did legume pasta. So to avoid wheats, gluten, grain in our house, we would do either a chickpea pasta or we would do a red lentil pasta. And sometimes we put a little grass-fed butter on it. We'd put a little bit of organic olive oil. You can even put a little bit of pesto if you made it. So whatever you want to put on it, as long as it doesn't have any bad oils or sugars, we did that as well, just to allow him to try different things together. So the next one, so the third milestone, is distinguish pincher grasp. And that is roughly 9 to 12 months. The important thing with that is variety. So exposure again to different foods, changing up the shapes, the textures, the flavors. One of our favorite things that we did and still do to this day, and my son loves, is we make him what I call the child version of a charcuterie board, I think is how you pronounce it, like a tapas. So I basically will take one of his silicone plates, the ones that like stick to the high chair surface, and I'll put a bunch of different things on there. One, it's fun to watch what his favorites are and watch him grab those things first and like clean his plate of that and then look like, all right, Mom, I'll have the kale chips. All right, Mom, I'll have this over here. But it allows them to try different things and just kind of like be independent with it, but also have multiple different options to expose their taste palette. So their taste preference. So the 12 things that I wrote down, I'll fire those off, are we did raw cheese. So we didn't do a ton of dairy in our house. If we were going to do dairy, it was raw, organic. So we did raw cheese. We do little squares, and that's one of his favorite snacks. A nitrate-free organic, either chicken breast or turkey breast. We also did organic grass-fed PaleoValley, which are so good. I'll put the link here for those below. PaleoValley beef sticks. We eat them as well. They're awesome on-the-go snacks. They're great for after a workout. They're great for on the, if you're doing a drive or flying, but they're also a really good kiddo snack. I just kind of cut them up, and then same thing, I would either do them into halves or eighths, depending on your kiddo's age and how they do with eating. And their teethers, how many teethers they have. The fifth one is hummus and veggies. Check the oils on the hummus, and I avoid anything that is not an olive oil or an avocado oil. So there should not be soybean, sunflower, canola, rapeseed, vegetable. Avoid those. They also have the organic PaleoValley. They also have beef sticks. They have turkey sticks as well. Hummus, we also do with Simple Mills crackers, or we did with HU, so I think that's how you say HU. Grain-free, both Simple Mills and the HU crackers are grain-free crackers. We would do avocado chunks, grapes, blueberries, watermelon, strawberry, bananas. We also did grain-free granola. Purely Elizabeth has a great one, and then Autumn's Gold. Both those also come in granola bars, which if you have older kiddos, those are a great option. But they're grain-free, and they've got very low sugar and added gunk. They're just like this, this, and this. It's very real and natural foods. And then seaweed. My son loves seaweed. I don't know if it's the salt, but with the seaweed as well, just make sure that you are avoiding any of the bad oils that we talked about. Olives are also a good one. We did Kalamata olives. We try and avoid things in cans, so we would get them in glass bottles. If we could find the like plain black olives in glass bottles, we would get those. Otherwise, we did Kalamata olives and then raisins. So we also, with Pinch Your Grasp, my kiddo, in an effort to give him variety, we found Sieta tortillas, which we use for ourselves, but you can get cashew flour, you can get almond flour, I think they have coconut flour, they have cassava flour, but we would get their grain-free, gluten-free tortillas, and we'd put some raw cheese in it, and we would make him like these little quesadillas, and then cut them up in squares, and again, allow him to dip them in salsa, or, you know, whatever we had there. So that's a great option. Again, it expands their taste palette or their taste preference, allows them to be exposed to different foods, and then gets the skill down of doing this. So the last thing I have for you guys is silverware. So that is roughly the age of 11 to 14 months. I would recommend getting silicone bowls that stick to the high chair, as well as a silicone spoon. You want to avoid a bunch of plastics if possible. If you want to do stainless steel, that's fine as well, but I would avoid using the plastics. We specifically, I'll give you 6 different foods that we did here. Organic, still cut, or rolled oats. So oatmeal, I would avoid doing the package that you microwave. You know, the ones that have like the cool dinosaurs, the Quaker oat packages actually make real oatmeal. It allows you also to add in a little bit of organic MCT oil, coconut oil. You can add in a little bit of nut butter. You know, just sometimes we throw in berries or banana, and it allows them to just try different things. Again, we did organic banana with raw nut butter. Sweet potato, we would throw in grass-fed butter, sea salt, cinnamon, sometimes some MCT oil. We did dairy-free or a dairy-free alternative. Yogurt, we did a cashew milk one. And again, we would allow him to take his little granola and dip in there or throw in some fruit. So really at this point, because they can do this, I find that some of the things that you've done in the past, it's good to put them together because it allows them to say like, hey, I took a bite of yogurt. That was just yogurt. Okay, that was a bite of, that was veggies. Or, you know, that was a blueberry and that was the bite of granola. It allows them to put everything together. And then the last two things I have for you is one, we also did apple pieces. So we would do the Granny Smith apples just so we didn't have an overload of sugar. Also gives him a taste to sour things and allow him to dip it in a raw nut butter. The other thing I tell my parents, and this is an important one, is feed your kids what you're eating. It's important, as long as you're eating healthy foods. It is important that your kiddos see that you eat what they eat. And the reason I say that is because I find as a community, as a culture, we are so quick to say like, oh, that's kid food. Like a fruit roll-up, that's kid food. There shouldn't be such a thing as kid food. We should just be eating the same foods. We should be eating real whole foods, good nutrition, because again, that's what builds our kiddos' bodies. So for us, if we're going to have, you know, I think tonight we have like barbacoa, and we're going to make in like little grain-free tortillas. We're going to have some beans, and we'll give that raw cheese, and we'll give that to my son. A couple nights ago, we had some salmon, we had sweet potatoes and broccoli, and I cut all of it up and I put it in a bowl and he eats it. So I highly encourage you, what you're eating, please feed to your child as long as you're eating healthy things. If you're not, then let's rework your diet so that the whole family is eating on the same type of meal plan where you're eating whole foods, good nutrition. So I hope this was helpful. My goal is to guide you through raising a healthy child. We cannot sit here and allow our kids to get sicker and sicker and not be intentional with the decisions that we make and the things that we have control over. So if you have questions, please comment below. I'm here to support you. I'm here to give you what I've got. So I'm happy to help in any way I can. Have an amazing day. I'll see you soon. Thanks.